Most of the hoteliers now have to lay off almost all of their staff because of the situation now. And I think this is very grave for the Gambian people. For the past 2 days, I've been receiving calls from friends from Sweden and Denmark telling me that they have been reading in the press there that the Gambia is in civil war, which I'm sure you people who have been here know that it's totally unfounded and it's untrue. Maybe they're trying to stifle us economically, knowing the part tourism plays in our economy. But I've been assured and reassured that this is not the case. But of course, I reserve my opinion on that.
Yahya torop. Fogna legi amna ñaata at.
Yes.
Amna 15 years old.
Kan I say
Sadio Diallo.
Turistministern och Jammeh är gamla skolkamrater, fast de har inte träffats på många år. Den provisoriska regeringens ordförande Jammeh kommer hon däremot inte alls ihåg från förr.
One has to remember that Jawara has been here for 30 years. For 30 years he has been a special friend of the British authorities. He spends most of his time in Britain playing golf at the expense of the Gambian state. He has assets in Britain, and our investigations into corruption have shown that most of the money stolen from the Gambian coffers are deposited in British banks. The setting up of the Crude Oil Commission has sparked up this reaction. We understand the reasons why. That they set up, the Nigerian government under ECOWAS protocol has agreed to supply the Gambia, to give to the Gambia in form of financial assistance, crude oil that the Gambia can either sell if directly or refine it. But since we don't have a refinery, the crude oil has to be sold to sold outside to countries that have a refinery. And we are talking of 20,000 barrels of crude oil a day from 1983 to 1990. These Gambians were not aware of this. And a limited liability company called the Gambia Oil Company, which when you mention to Gambia they stare at you as if they have seen a ghost, was established in the Gambia. All the managing directors were British. Members of the board of directors were British. And none of the proceeds of that crude oil, the total of which amounted to over 16 million barrels of crude oil, were ever deposited in the government treasury. The company that was contracted to trade with the oil is called a civil trading, a company registered in Latin America, Panama City in Panama. So everything was diverted, and even though the intention of the Nigerian government was for the Gambia government to sell for development projects, to develop the rural areas, the money is diverted. And all the money, we have evidence, has been stashed in British banks. All the other commissions, when they were said, there was no reaction from the British. But the moment we set up the Crude Oil Commission to investigate into this, the biggest fraud we can call it so far in the world, of course the British are reacting in this way. So my perception is that it is in reaction to this particular commission and nothing else.
We still haven't been told exactly why the British have taken the decision. But of course, people are speculating that it has resulted from a number of factors. First of all, it would appear that the British do not seem to like the decision by the AFPRC government to restore or attempt to restore diplomatic relationship with Libya.
The Libyans have not yet even presented their letters of credence. And these negotiations have been going on since under Jawara. We as a government, a sovereign state, we don't want to do things under the carpet. These are negotiations that have been formalized by the former regime discreetly.
And also, perhaps the AFPRC has come up with a timetable which is not acceptable to the West. You know, the West has made it loud and clear that an acceptable timetable should not be beyond 2 years. And of course, we know that the AFPRC timetable is 4 years. So perhaps it could also stem from the fact that the timetable which the AFPRC has announced on October 24th is not acceptable to them.
There are a lot of governments that are recognized that are not democratic at all, where nobody even dares talk about elections. And here, the timetable they say is long. We've charted it out because we don't want to create an atmosphere of instability. To try people for corruption that has been going on for 30 years, you cannot do it in 6 months. You cannot do it in 12 months, taking into consideration that it has to go through a due process of law. This is one thing. And we did not just come to make a clean sweep of Jawara's regime just for another corrupt politician to come in. We want to make sure that by the time we leave, there are concrete structures that will let Gambians know their rights as Gambians, rights that cannot be denied by anybody who comes after us. And for 30 years, there has been no development. The government did not build a single hospital. The government did not build even a single school, be it primary or much more high school. The roads are terrible, you have seen them.
Yahya Jammeh ska besöka Biam på landsbygden. Folk har väntat entusiastiskt i flera timmar.
Det var bara unga som tog makten och jag var lite tveksam därför jag tänkte kanske de har inte erfarenhet. Men så länge som jag har sett det och efter att jag har hört presidenten, den här chairman Jammeh prata, det ser ut som att det kommer att lösa sig. Om det blir inte, det beror på många saker. Folk tror på förändring och de blir jätteglada. Men det tillståndet är mycket kort faktiskt. Om till exempel Jammeh vill ha bra vilja och vill göra saker och ting bra, fast att det finns inte ekonomiska möjligheter hos folket att kunna få det bra, då de kommer att säga Jawara var bättre.
When they came into power, the amount of people who came out in the streets to manifest must have shocked most of us who were in the former government. The sensible thing would have been if our former government had that type of support, which we thought we had, then members of our party, members of our government, would have also come out in large numbers to demonstrate in support of our government. Even the opposition political parties, their reaction was that this was a big welcome, it was a big relief.
The outside world should take note of what is happening here internally, because that is what is fundamental. All that they can do is secondary to what we can do here. Even if they have millions and billions of dollars, as long as the conditions here are not propitious to change, dollars cannot change this place. So as long as we are working, in spite of the difficulties, to bring about the necessary change, the outside world should take note of that.
If any ambassador had been following events properly, you will see that unlike many countries, here in the Gambia, people have been vocal. People did not just accept things as they are. People have been challenging the situation to a point where they have established relations of respect with the government which exists. And that's the most you can expect from a government. And where that respect exists, it can be converted into something else, into the basis for national dialogue to solve a problem.
Of course, they may have limitations as to how to manage society, but they would not deliberately destroy this society because they are part and parcel of this society. So from that point of view, I think one can deal with them, one can communicate with them until such time that they see reason for transferring this setup to a more accepted setup, which is a democratically elected government.
Politiska partier är förbjudna tills vidare. Sidi Yahya och Khalifa Saleh arresterades i somras för att de fortsatte att ge ut sin tidning. Men den rättegång som hölls vann de och nu kommer tidningen ut igen. Khalifa Saleh tycker att det är viktigare att få fram ett fungerande valsystem än att snabbt få till stånd allmänna val.
The system of registration of voters in the country is full of fraud because a place like Serakunda, which has over 200,000 people, there are no street names, proper addresses, which means a voter can just go and simply register in any place in 1 year. Every 2 years we have supplementary registration. He can register in 2, 3 places, 4 places, and vote 3, 4 times. Therefore, since it will be difficult to have proper elections, it is essential to constitute an electoral commission which will look into electoral frauds and in shaping a good electoral system. That was one suggestion. Now, if we determine how long it will take to establish such a system, how long it will take for political parties to operate, to campaign, etc., an independent electoral commission set up, then we can say that is the time limit for the timetable.
If they come here to correct a system that can be done within maximum 2 years, let them clean up the system and go back to barracks. Then, when history is going to be written, when we are going to write history tomorrow, then we'll say that there was a group of 5 soldiers who came to rescue us. Of course, if they want to enjoy the sweetness of power, they can stay there, but at the end of the day, they will also realize that power can be sweet, but it can also be bitter.
Nu finns det bara en sak i Jainabas huvud. Hem. Till Farafenni. Till mamma.
Det är svårt, tror jag, att beskriva faktiskt vad är hemma. Det är en känsla som man känner. Det finns där för att när man kommer, hur folk tar emot en. Fridfulla tillstånd.
So on board guy ni ban negotiate guy pour delu ci wa so sa ne ko da Mr President ni ko am to mo ne ko tax papa ne ko lor nga suma de ya ni duga
dina ko daanel ya jimin
ne ko ya bi ko ya ba ne ko de ka bi bu na way nga ne fokk nga
yàlla mo di
mooy am sànni
mam baba mooy saay saay hey billahi mam baba moo saay saay baax na ci nit am trop billahi lii day doy na waar.
Dagen till ära slaktar mamma ett av sina får. Och på kvällen ska moster och morbror komma. Och då ska de raka av Alfa allt födelsehåret.
Den 8:e dagen när man är fått, han var fått på en söndag, och när söndagen kommer tillbaka ska man döpa barnet. Och en del folk tar lite hör på huvudet och en del brukar raka allting den dagen. Men med Alfa, han som döpte honom, han var lite skakig på händerna, så han tog bara lite. Fast vi från min familj, vi brukade raka allt hår den dagen. Så att han hade sitt födelsehår som man brukar raka alltid. Nästan alla i Gambia brukar göra det. Att den här första håret måste bort.
Allahu Akbar.
Tillbaka i Banjul vill Jainaba göra några intervjuer om kvinnlig omskärelse. Hon kanske ska fortsätta sin artikelserie i Sverige i Gambian Newsletter. Hon vill gärna veta vad till exempel den nya socialministern har för inställning.
I'm living in Sweden and there have been a lot of debate over the issue of female circumcision. What is your position on this issue?
The people who practice this are people, prominent traditional leaders in the society. They are well respected and they should continue to be respected. Therefore, the only way you can change attitudes is through education, through dialogue, and through respect. There must be mutual respect. Everybody may exercise his or her right to have his or her daughter circumcised. It is a right to them. But it is also the right of the society to put pressure wherever they know that it is a harmful practice. But the pressure must go with respect. So the methodology is something that they need to improve.
I mean, for an African, you just don't come and expose the private part of a lady, publicly, with a view to educate them. In fact, you will fail, because it is considered a very sacred part of the woman. And only selected people are supposed to see these things behind closed doors. Okay, but this women group will just take this video, take it to a village bantaba, invite everybody in the village, men, women, children, and just show them this video. I think that is counterproductive. I don't think that approach is the best thing to do.